What to do, what to do. How do I unpack this subject? It's a difficult one, and I don't know how to make it fit neatly into a blog. It could be said that this day marked the beginning of the end, or the end of the beginning, depending on your perspective and philosophical beliefs. But either way, it started out normal, with a hubble ride to the village. Elby's doing laundry. What started out as a bright sunny day quickly turned dark, and for more than one reason. So did someone pack too much?
Yeah.
Since Elby hasn't traveled a lot, she hasn't learned to pack light just yet, but I'm working on it. She was frustrated earlier when she was doing laundry because we were waiting for a doctor who had been summoned from the nearest village to visit her father. It didn't take long for the doctor to request an ambulance, and I mostly tried to stay out of the way as the locals began to gather. Since the only way into the village is via the footbridge, they'll have to park as close as they can, bring the gurney in by hand, and carry him out. From there, it's a 4 to 5 hour ride to Tacloban. Yeah, I'll be careful. We washed laundry here yesterday and hung it on the line, but after everything happened, it wasn't dry yet when we had to go back to our hotel. And so now I think it's going to have to stay because it's raining. It's not going to dry, but we're going to go to Tacloban to help with Elby's father and just leave our dirty laundry here. Well, it's clean now. It's just wet. We're leaving Kissbone, trying to get to Tacloban to see Elby's father. And this is kind of in between two villages, so it's hard to get anywhere. We're going to take this one to a terminal. We've got to go this way to this town to get to a terminal where we can go back that way to that town. Okay. So we got rid of one suitcase yesterday. And how many pairs of clothes do you have, Elby?
4 plus 2
nighttime clothes, yeah. So Elby has 4 daytime clothes and 2 nighttime clothes. I have 3 sets, so I've almost got her to my level, teaching her to travel light. So we took the bicycle to get to the terminal, to get on this one, to go back the opposite direction, to get to the bus station that will take us to Tacloban. So there's a never-ending series of steps you have to take to get somewhere here. And this is Kissbone. This is where we started. This is the way I'll be traveling. 2 backpacks in my lap. The only tickets they had. And Elby is up front. You can't see her because she's so small, but she's in the front seat. It's going to be a long ride, 4 to 6 hours depending on traffic and stops, and then we'll be in Tacloban. Other than the backpacks up to my chin, and the fact that these vans are not made for a 6-foot-tall man's knees, it's a beautiful ride. Of course, there's always the reminder that in the Philippines, Mother Nature is a cruel mistress. These are the remains of Odette. The people who could afford to have largely rebuilt, but the people who can't afford to still live under tarps. The ambulance ride to the hospital was largely free, only requiring a $5 tip for the driver. It's once you get to the hospital that the problems start. If you're thinking about moving to the Philippines, you'll want to pay close attention to this part. The medical system here, at least the public one, is very different than what we're used to in the West. Forget everything you thought you knew about how hospitals work, because here, it's very different. For instance, here, the hospitals don't feed or bathe the patient, they don't take samples to the lab, nor collect the result. And often, they don't even provide the recommended medication. So if they don't do it, how does it get done? One person has to stay in the hospital at all times to feed and bathe the patient. Because they're still under COVID protocols, that person does not get to leave. That person also does not get a bed. They can sleep against the wall in the hallway only. You have to have people on the outside of the hospital to take samples to labs, collect the results, pick up prescription, bring food or anything else that is needed inside. We can only do that and meet at the door and hand it off to the person staying inside. Elby's an only child, and although her father had many brothers and sisters, for the most part, Those that gave their time demanded to be paid for it, and those that gave money demanded to be repaid. At one point, she was paying 3 people to help, plus she and I doing all we could. On top of that, as the only child, she was responsible for the entire hospital bill. It's a tough position to be in. If you stuck around this long, thank you, and I hope I've shed some light on what it can be like when things go wrong in the province.